and then Pam's husband Bill and her daughter Beth and their two beautiful grandchildren. So glad you guys were able to make it. It's about your mom. Pam and Dorothy have heard me say some of these things before. They know how I feel about them, both professionally and personally. But I think it's important for others to kind of hear some of the things that they've done and what they mean to us. I'll just say it. I personally believe that there are no two people more responsible for shaping the way that special ed ELL services look in Minneapolis schools today than these two fine women. They have been leaders for 30 years. They're leaving an incredible legacy, and I'm going to talk a bit more about that in just a few minutes. It is just so obvious to me that, having worked with both of them for 23 years, and I've been lucky enough, I kind of, get to see what's happening with ELL special ed services in the Twin Cities. My wife works in St. Paul, so I know what's going on over there in the state, and even nationally. I've done some consulting for LA Unified, and I just got to say that it's so obvious to me that our ELL special ed services in Minneapolis are by far the best, and we really owe it to Pam and Dorothy. Now, what do I mean by the best? And maybe this is what Ann was meant by me just explaining a little bit more. Well, for me, the best means promoting the understanding that coming from a different culture or speaking a different language is not a disability, number one. No duh. And yet, we just forget that so often. Best means, in my mind, promoting culturally appropriate and fair evaluations and making sure that we identify those ELL kids that are suspected of having true disabilities. It means using culturally appropriate assessment tools, using our wonderful interpreter cadre, and not the least, the importance of parent input into the evaluation process. The home family interview that we all do. Where did that come from? Well, that came from these guys over the years. They promote excellent universal instruction and interventions for ELL kids by general ed students. Don't just refer them to special ed. They have developed an incredible store of culturally appropriate materials for interventions, in particular literature, stories from all of the cultural groups that are represented in Minneapolis, a very unique library. And probably most important, they've done all of this with a carrot and not a stick, unless it was absolutely necessary to use that stick. Just a couple personal stories here. For Dorothy, 23 years ago, she helped a dumb young professor fresh from his ivory tower to learn how to work with ELL kids in the real world. I was at Hiawatha, and we had a second grade ELL student. In those days, they were LEP, Limited English Proficiency. From Cambodia. She was verbal, but totally unintelligible. And I had no clue what to do. And I don't think I prayed. I'm not kind of a praying type guy. But my memory is that Dorothy kind of magically appeared, almost like she materialized in my office. And she spent hours with me, teaching me how to work with interpreters, how to do a decent ELL eval, how to look at all the shades of gray, because nothing's black and white, how to make an appropriate recommendation. And I never forgot that, and I tell this story every year to all of our new people, just to let them know that it's okay to ask for help, and it's okay, especially when we've got such expertise in the district that can help us do that. Pam has been probably my main collaborator and confidant, not just for ELL speech services, but for a lot more than that over the last 10 or 15 years. She has, or has been given, feel a little guilty about this, the awesome responsibility of mentoring all of our new speech language pathologists. We both talk a lot, and we feel lucky. Pam and I are the only two people on every 10-year team. We know every speech pathologist in the district, me because of my role, but Pam because she goes out and supports these people. And I gotta say, we've got the best mentoring and induction program in the country, and Pam Telleen is a huge part of that. So, I made similar comments like these the other day to our speech group, and I started off by asking everybody in the room to raise your hands if you have ever been mentored or supported by these two fine women. And guess what happened? Everybody in the room raised their hand. And I mentioned legacy, and this is what I mean by that. Pam and Dorothy, their work has touched every one of us in this room in some way. Hundreds, if not thousands, of teachers and staff, and then through us, I think they've touched virtually every ELL special ed student that has been in this district for the last 30 years. So in my mind, their legacy is that they have made a difference. And I just want to say that the rest of us should be so lucky, should be so skilled in our jobs, that when it comes time for us to retire, our colleagues say the same about us. So Pam and Dorothy, here's to you. We love you guys, and we're going to really miss you.